I'm Big Lou, and you're watching Big Lou Barbecue and other things I want to do, and this is what I've got going on for you. I'm going to tell you how to make a pretty good, fairly good steak seasoning. I think you'll like it. I think your guests will like it. All right? Anyway, it's hotter than the 4th of July, and I can tell I know that because it's the 4th of July, and I'm standing next to a fire, which makes it even hotter than the day it's already supposed to be. All right, but this is pretty hot stuff. Now look, I am not a professional cook. I don't cook in steak competitions, barbecue competitions, anything like this. And I didn't care to go into YouTube and be some kind of influencer. I'm just a school teacher, and people said, hey, you do pretty good with this stuff. Why don't you just try it? So I just felt having fun with food fire and a phone camera in my backyard. But this is a steak seasoning I'm making. On a recent video, somebody asked how to make it. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to do it. I put it in a little mason jar. The mason jar has these little lids that you can get that what they do is you can use spices for it, but I've used up all of mine, so I'm using one of these drink lids, and I just kind of slide it like that, and then it pours out just fine. It's on these steaks, and I'm gonna put more steaks on this grill. Here's how I made this.
All right, I'm going to start with table salt. I want to use table salt for this. You can use kosher salt, sea salt, or whatever, but I like to chew my steaks, not crunch my steaks, and I'm using table salt. You use what you want to use, but I like table salt for this. And I'm going to use ground black pepper. Yes, this is the stuff in the store. Yeah, I've got black pepper grinders, but for this, I don't need to grind all that much pepper up, all right? And you want heaping tablespoons, heaping teaspoons in this recipe. And that wasn't quite heaping enough, so I'm gonna add just a tad bit extra. All right, and now we've got the options. If you want the spicy option, we're gonna use cayenne. Medium option, pretty good option, use ancho chili powder, and use paprika if you want a mild. Sweet paprika if you want it really tame. I was gonna make this spicy, but I looked inside this cayenne container, and I have another one, and I didn't have very much left. I probably only had about a half teaspoon of it, maybe a little tiny bit more. So I just decided I would dump that in there and then use a tablespoon of ancho powder to it. And you know what? It came out pretty darn good. And then I made a double recipe after this, and I used, you know what, half teaspoon of cayenne and a whole tablespoon of ancho in that one too. Anyway, there's your options. Use a teaspoon and a half of ancho powder if you want a pretty good steak season. If you want it spicier, use cayenne. And if you want somewhere in the middle, mix them, all right? And like I said, for tame, use paprika here, but you gotta have some sort of red pepper in it, all right? Now, once I get the ancho chili powder in there, by the way, ancho chili powder is just ancho chilies. It's not chili powder with cumin and onion and all sort of other spices. So watch it when you buy chili powder that you're just getting up the ground chilies and not a bunch of other stuff in there. All right, I picked up the onion powder, and I could put it in here, but that's not the next ingredient I want to put. So we're going to put in the next ingredient. Cumin. Yep, ground cumin. And you got to put it in there. No jokes, please. Yeah, keep your sophomore jokes, you know. Anyway, she said put cumin in, so that's what we did. All right, and a whole teaspoon of cumin. Now we put in the onion powder. There we go. There we go, onion powder and, of course, garlic powder. Now, we're gonna put the garlic powder in, and this is done as far as a basic, versatile, fairly good steak seasoning. It'll be good on steaks, burgers, and any beef. You could use it on some pork chops if you wanted to. A lot of times people like sweeter rubs on pork. You can use this on fish. You can use this on baked potatoes or any mashed potatoes or any potato dish. You can use it in gravies and stuff. Now, you can make this a little more specific by adding and I do recommend this for steak, adding ground mustard, a teaspoon of ground mustard. And you could add celery salt. You could add thyme. You could add basil. You could add all sorts of things to it. But the more you add to it, the more specific it gets and the less versatile it gets. So sometimes less is more. And there I go. I made the double recipe, and I just shake it up. And like I said, I'm using that drink lid to shake the stuff out. It's pretty darn good.
Look, you can use old spice containers to put it in, or you can buy spice containers like this or whatever. Whatever you got, you can mix it up in, and it makes a pretty good little steak season. And it's customizable. You want it mild, use paprika. You want it medium, use ancho chili powder. You want it hot, use cayenne. You want it in between those, use a little bit of cayenne, maybe a half teaspoon of cayenne and a teaspoon of ancho powder. Or, you know, but anyway, and if you wanted to add celery salt, if you wanted to add coffee, anything, people make good steak seasonings with that. Anyway, it won't be 4th of July when you watch this, but I'm gonna say happy 4th of July anyway, or happy after 4th of July. And we're gonna have some good steaks.
Now, this is a fairly good steak and burger seasoning, but you can add other things. We mentioned the celery salt and the mustard, also the coffee. Thyme and rosemary are common ingredients. Try cocoa powder. Anyway, have fun making your own seasonings. It makes a pretty good
Now,
steak seasoning.
there ain't gonna be no taste test because it's the 4th of July and I got things to do, but I'll tell you what, it's on these steaks right here and I know it's gonna be good. I usually make the spicy for myself and my daughter. I generally make the medium with the ancho powder for most people and the mild with paprika for people that don't like a lot of spices. All right. I've got 2 thick T-bones, almost porterhouses. They were about 1 inch thick before I cooked them. A really thick ribeye, thick New York strip, 2 thin New York strips right here, and 2 thin T-bones.